just kind of can't sleep. It's about 1:30. On a moonless night in LA, but of course, LA, if there's no moon in the sky, it's still really bright because, all your neighbors have their security lights blaring, shoved up your ass. I got this convalescent hospital behind me that has these security lights. And, I think probably the polite thing to do would be to aim them, down so they're a little pool of light, like near the door that you're trying to protect. But instead they just have them aimed straight out, and they go in all my windows. And it's just like deathly kind of... It's emulating moonlight. At least they're, cognizant to not have some crazy warm, daylight bullshit. But it's still, god-awful fucking light. With those hard shadows, whatever it is, LED bullshit. But, you can kind of faintly make out some stars. It's, oh my God. And I just been anxious as hell. But like, I chew the shit out of my hands when I'm anxious. Anybody that knows me, they can tell, if I shake your hand and it feels like sandpaper, or it feels just like a fucking rough, knot-on finger, you can tell I'm fucking anxious. Can't sleep, just fucking nervous, all fucking wound up, tight as hell. To the point where my fucking lower back is just ready to snap. The whole fucking world is just getting to me, But, yeah, I've been thinking about stuff, been thinking about old friends. Thinking about my buddy Chuck Duke quite a bit. Jesus. Met Chuck in the Bay Area. I think he originated his career in Portland, Oregon at Will Vinton Studios way back when everybody was working on, clay for Will Vinton himself, with the big twirly mustache. Will Vinton, Jesus. He's a luminary in the stop motion world. California Raisins and Tom Sawyer and all these great films he made. Chuck came out of that zone. I met him in the Bay Area on a TV show called Life with Loopy. We were a couple anime. Life with Loopy was it was like 11.5 minute, 12 minute episodes on Kablam. Kablam was a kind of a variety show on Nickelodeon back in the early 90s. And Chuck, I think, was on the very first season of that, and I jumped on second season. And there was usually like 4 animators, and we would do a season. It was just a great gig. I think I started in 96. And that's where I met Chuck. Worked with Chris Calvi quite a bit. Randy Link was on that. John, what was his last name? Forget his last name. He was only doing stop motion. Campanero, something like that. It was fucking late. But Chuck really left a huge impression on me. And he was, a bit older than me. He still is. And he was way more seasoned than I was. And so it was like a mentorship thing. But he's not a man of many words. He sort of mentors the younger animators with sort of actions. He has this sort of like presence, and a real dignity and a sort of a solemn. God, his artistic nature is just epic. It's and so we were sort of in the Bay Area at sort of roughly the same time, and he and this guy Tom Gibbons ended up kind of getting on over at Phil Tippett Studios. And Tom made a short film. I was making a short film. Chuck was making a short film. Tim Hiddle was making a short film. There's a group of animators. I think Tom kind of kicked it off with his beautiful film, and then Chuck started up a film he started making, and his film was called Rung. And he had a sort of a start-stop. I think he had tried to make an animated short years before that, but it kind of didn't really completely gel, as a lot of personal projects do. And I was poking around to just see if I could, for some reason, I have this old phone and it won't play Vimeos, and I really wanted to watch Rung again, but I haven't seen it in a couple years now, but it's just a beautiful 16 millimeter short stop motion. He made it with his roommate at the time was this guy Jesse Brodkey, who's just a really gifted composer, musician, pianist, but also a really good fabricator and writer, And I think he helped Chuck write it and fabricate a lot of the stuff. I think he even assisted animated, maybe storyboards. I don't know what he did, but he did a bunch of different stuff on it, wrote music for it. And then Chuck's girlfriend at the time, I think they ended up getting married, Holly Strauss, fabricated the main character. There's like kind of a main humanoid stop motion puppet, this guy, who's on this sort of it's like a pier, like a dock, one of those wooden kind of structures, but it's just floating. It's not going out into the ocean. It's floating in kind of space. And it's this very kind of esoteric, symbolic, trippy film. And you can kind of draw so many different interesting meanings from it. Rung, is like a bell. You ring a bell, it's rung. It's also a step on a ladder, a rung. And so it's a lot of this wordplay and dual meanings, triple meanings, quadruple meanings of symbols. There's all these like seagulls that are sort of holding the structure up in the air, but the seagulls aren't actually seagulls. If you look closely, they're dollar bills, folded dollar bills. So you have this, I don't know, this, what do you call it? when you have certain kind of currency, it's paper currency, it's a fiat. It's like this fiat. What's holding anything up? What are there strings holding up the puppet? Is money holding us all up? What's keeping everything aloft and afloat and connected and elevated and moving? Who knows? Maybe it's something deeper. Maybe it's something. Maybe there are no strings. Maybe it's the ether. Maybe it's magic. Maybe it's electricity. But those are the kinds of mental riddles that this short film really kind of sends you on. But the main character climbs this ladder and confronts this sort of creature, this sort of boss bird up in this little crow's nest thing up top, and it's the big mama bear bird that's sort of birthing and hatching these smaller birds. And anyway, check it out. Do a little search. Actually, chuckduke.net, I think, is a thing. And he writes a little bit about making that short film on there. And also, there's a link to the Vimeo. Wrong, Chuck Duke. Do a search, you'll find it. It's pretty exquisite. I think it made it into some really, like Hiroshima or one of those big animated festivals. And I think it even maybe won an award. Or maybe the award is just getting invited to that festival. That's quite an honor right there. But it's a one-of-a-kind, beautiful piece. Gorgeous music, gorgeous photography, beautiful animation. Just really well boarded, and there's some really cool, innovative scenes. I love the way the ladder, he does a lot of in-camera blurring when the character's like coming down his little basket on a little rope pulley system. I don't know. He just sort of descends really quick, and it just has this great. And the sounds, like the bells and the dings and the flapping of the. It just feels like a really rich environment. He paints this beautiful picture with that film. And anyway, I was just thinking about Chuck Duke, master animator, just fucking incredible animator, Jesus. Works on all of the great feature films that one would think of. I think he worked on James and the Giant Peach and Frankenweenie and Fantastic Mr. Fox, and the list goes on. I think he was on Isle of Dogs and Mad God. Jesus, he did a boatload of shots in that one. And he does CG, he does stop motion. And he's just an interesting guy, I think early on he even starred in some live action films. I saw him in a film by Mark Gustafson called Sheepskin. I think that's what it was called. If I'm remembering correctly, it was maybe Super 8 or 16 millimeter. And he and Mark were like best friends. I think they were like really, really good pals. And Scott Nordland was a really good friend of Chuck's. Also, just exquisite artists, the two of those guys. Good Lord. And John Ashley, I think, shot Sheepskin. I could be wrong. But Chuck stars in it, and he's wearing this like kind of leisure suit, and he's out in the woods, and I just remember him submerged in water with his eyes open, staring up. He's kind of has this. I think the character's name is Wood, if I remember correctly. And it really left a pretty strong impression on me, because Chuck has this like placid stillness to his face. I think he was even a model back in the day. He's really painfully handsome, but he has these sort of haunting kind of gray. I'm very colorblind, but to me they look kind of like gray. His eyes are like this exquisite color. They could be hazel. I don't know. What the fuck do I know? Gray, green, blue. something very exotic. You just don't see that color of eye very often. And he just, when he kind of holds you in his gaze, I don't know, I get a little queasy in a fun, excited way. I think I kind of have a little crush on Chuck. It's pretty insane how I think about him often. I think he has that effect on people because he's just painfully interesting. And I don't know, sitting here in my car late at night, looking up at the sky, thinking about Chuck. What else is going on besides chewing my hands apart? Had a epic Nerf battle with my son this evening. Gus is 9. And later this month I turned 54. And I've been trying to stay active with him, I grab around on the floor with him, play Legos, and, we shoot Nerfs at each other, and he's my best fucking friend. I don't know what to tell you guys. We sword fight. The other day he was like, Dad, let's go for a walk to the paper tree. And up the street and around the corner and through the bridge and meandering up and down over the little homeless zone and where all the gothic chain link fences meet the weeds. There's a row of houses, and one of them has these 3 trees, and each one of the trees is actually 3 trunks. It's almost like the trees grow in groupings of 3s. And, plainly marked on the lawn is, something like stay off my lawn or whatever. But these trees are those paper trees where the bark starts to kind of slough off in these big strips of, almost looks like a roll of toilet paper. You just want to, if a giant reached out and just yanked a little piece of that bark, it could wipe his ass type of thing. And so we disregard the sign on the lawn, and we pick at some of these trees, and we just marvel at, like, do you think, like the cavemen of old wrote their very first books on these trees? I feel like I could peel a whole page off of this one. Look at this. And we just, I don't know. It's one of the 7 wonders in our neighborhood. It's a little magnet. It's one of the things that we get drawn to. So we did a little walk over there, probably at the heat of the day. Gus was like, why are we on this walk? So hot. When the sun's just blistering. And I'm like, yeah. So we can sweat it out and get a little sunburn on our necks. What do you think we're on this walk for? But it was a pretty good day. Pretty good day. I'm not working these days, so I pick Gus up as early as I can from school, sorry. And I don't know. That's about all I got, people. That's about all I got. Hope you guys are feeling the good vibes, and somebody's able to sleep out there in the Naked City. Certainly beaming out as much of the love I can muster.